Good evening. I'd like to call to order this commission meeting of August 8th for the Design Review and Historic Preservation Commission. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for the Zoom people. Okay. Could we please have a roll call vote? I mean, a roll call for attendance. Jeez.
Commissioner HARASZTHY?
Here.
Commissioner Herron?
Present.
Commissioner Jerome? Commissioner Thompson?
Here.
And Chair AMAR.
Here.
Thank you.
Do we have comments from the public? Anything not on the agenda?
Do we want to go to the approval of the agenda?
Okay, yeah, I have a different order here from the list. We can do that. So let's have an approval of the agenda as presented. Could we have a roll call vote for that, please?
We'll do a motion and a second to
Okay,
approve
gotcha.
the agenda.
Okay, let me catch up here. For the approval of the agenda, could we please have an motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I second.
And the roll call vote, please.
Yep. Roll call. Commissioner HARASZTHY?
Aye.
Commissioner Herron?
Aye.
Commissioner Jerome?
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson?
Aye.
And Chair AMAR.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
Do we have any late correspondence?
There was no late correspondence received.
Thank you. At this time, could we have any public comments from the public? Anything that's not on the agenda tonight? Seeing none, are there any online?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to the consent calendar. We have item 3.1, minutes from the regular Design Review and Historic Preservation Commission meeting on May 9th and June 13th. And we have item 3.2, request to install banners on Plaza Light Standards, Sonoma Community Center, subject to a categorical exemption pursuant to Section 15311 of the State CEQA Guidelines on Premise Class 11 accessory structures. May I have a motion to approve these items on the consent calendar?
I suggest approving the minutes of meeting level 5/9/28 and 6/13/23.
Commissioner Jerome, would you please turn on your mic and
Sorry.
try again? Thank
I
you.
motion to approve the minutes of meeting of 5/9/23 and 6/13/23.
May I have a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you. And let's have a roll call vote.
Commissioner HARASZTHY?
Aye.
Commissioner Herron?
Aye.
Commissioner Jerome?
Aye.
Commissioner Thompson?
Aye.
And Chair AMAR.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
We'll now move on to our public hearing.
I'm sorry, just one clarification. Commissioner Jerome, did you move to approve the entire consent items or just the minutes?
Just a minute.
All right, may I have a motion to approve item 3.2, the request to install banners?
I make a motion to approve agenda or consent for the consent calendar of 3.2.
I second that.
Thank you. Roll call vote.
Commissioner HARASZTHY?
Approve.
Commissioner Herron?
Aye, or approved.
Commissioner Jerome? Commissioner Thompson?
Aye.
And Chair AMAR.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
All right, if we're ready to proceed, we'll move on to our public hearing. Item 4.1 is discussion, consideration, and possible action to modify conditions of approval on an approved design review application on a historic single-family residence at 553 2nd Street East, including action to approve a categorical exemption pursuant to Section 15301 and 15331 of the State CEQA Guidelines, Class 1, Existing Facilities, Class 31, Historic Resource Rehabilitation. May we have the staff report, please?
Hi, contract planner Elena Lip. The applicant is proposing to modify the conditions of approval of the previous June 13th, 2023 decision to remove conditions 8 and 9. These conditions require respectively that a restoration plan be prepared to ensure that the rehabilitation is in conformance with the Secretary of Interior standards and that implementation of the restoration plan be verified by a licensed architect. So the background on this project is on October 19th, 2021, the Commission approved a design review application for modifications, including an addition, a 600 square foot addition to the existing structure at 553 2nd Street East, and exterior modifications to repair and replace the existing cedar shingles and paint them a warm white tone. On June 13th, 2023, the Commission approved changes to an approved design review project to replace all of the existing cedar shingles with new shingles or similar looking cementitious shingles. The applicant also requested to change the color of the roof from red gray to heather blend and reduce the rake overhangs by 9 inches. This request was approved subject to findings and conditions of approval. So the applicant is requesting that the conditions of approval 8 and 9 be removed because at the previous approvals they submitted documentation analyzing the proposed modifications to the project that confirmed that the plan modifications were in conformance to the Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation. A report dated April 20th, 2023 provided a comprehensive analysis of the proposed changes and analyzed the character defining features of the historic house and how the project as revised would impact these features. The analysis concluded that the changes to the project would result in no significant impact on the historic resource. This report is included in the agenda materials for the June 13th, 2023 meeting. So the applicant proposes that no additional conditions of approval are necessary to ensure that the project and the rehabilitation is in conformance with the Secretary of Interior standards. The applicant is here this evening to take questions.
Do we as a commission have questions for staff?
I have a question. Based on your analysis, the submitted historical analysis reports satisfies the concern of conditional approval.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, is the applicant is available? Would you please come up to the podium and state your name and address for us, please?
Hi, I'm Noelle Andries. I'm sorry we were on Zoom during the last meeting. This is,
Steve Andrews.
and our address is 553 2nd Street East. Do you also need our rental address?
No, that's okay, thank you.
Would you like us to make a statement about what's going on to recap what we talked about in the last meeting?
Sure, that'd be great.
Or,
And
okay.
short description of your project and where you're at now.
Do you want to?
Sure, I would say that this project started over 2 years ago. I think we went in length about the history of the project, the complications that we've had throughout dealing with the structure and the state of the structure and the issues that we've come across. And I would just say that we feel like we've come to the other side of that with the help of the new leadership here in the city and a lot of mutual agreements and meetings that we've gone through. We feel very strongly about what we're doing today, where we are, the plan that we have in place with our architect, our licensed contractor, our entire team, our architectural historian, plus a second architectural historian that we've hired to provide a backup opinion. And we're just here in coordination with the city on a small advice to simply remove 2 points that are not really needed for this project at this point. And it was determined that they did not need to be in there for the conditions of approval. And so that's the only reason we're here today. And
Yeah. So I prepared something. I'm just going to read it. I'm sorry if it's redundant, but I guess this is my chance. So I would just like to reiterate that this project has received the endorsement of Alice Duffy, an architectural historian who holds CRIS certification in architectural history and history, ensuring compliance with the Secretary of the Interior standards, as was just questioned. Ms. Duffy conducted a historic resource evaluation for the project in 2021, which underwent a thorough peer review process with the overwhelming support of Laura Ackley. Ms. Ackley, who also holds CRIS certification in architectural history and history, reviewed the current modifications and told us the home is lucky to have you. Throughout the project, Alice Duffy has provided multiple consistency analysis reports to accommodate the minor changes being made, reaffirming her professional opinion that the project continues to adhere to the Secretary of the Interior standards. With unanimous approval in October 2021 and again in June of this year, it is important to remember that no substantial changes have been made to the project scope or design. Based on our most recent meetings, discussions with, and input from the city, we are here this evening simply to remove these conditions of approval that have been deemed not necessary for our project to continue to actually move forward and to put a roof on our home. So with the support and guidance of our architect, architectural historians, structural engineers, the City of Sonoma staff, we are looking forward to being able to progress and complete the rehabilitation of this home, which is in dire need of repair.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do we have any public comments? Alice, would you like to come up and give a comment? Sure, thank you.
Good evening, Commission. Welcome our new Community Director. My name is Alice Duffy Healy. I'm the architectural historian that has been working on this project for several years now. I just wanted to stand up and reiterate again that this is a historic resource. It remains a historic resource, and that the project, the scope has not changed over time. This represents a sensitive restoration of a historic resource ultimately. As the project has progressed, it has become more and more clear that there was more deterioration than originally expected, and so the scope of the some of the work that's been done involving the porch and the shingles, it looks a little severe. However, the ultimate scope remains the same, which is the restoration of a historic resource to be put back into residential use for its long-term future. I think that the owners have had good faith effort at every step in this process, and that perhaps the last requirement for our historical architect with monitoring is it's a step too far on this project. So I guess I'm open for any questions that you might have, but those are my 2 cents on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other public comments at this time, either in the room or online?
There are currently no hands raised on Zoom.
Thank you. We'll close the meeting to the public and bring it back to the commission for discussion. So, Commissioner Jerome, would you like to begin?
Yes, thank you. As I understood, the report that was provided by an architectural historian covered all of the requirements of our historical resource for the building, and the items that are requested to be deleted are responded to by those reports. And I think that is 2 ways to go by this. One way is, as suggested, delete the requirement of sections in the condition of approval, or the applicant can respond that the requirement of those sections are satisfied by the report that is provided by the historian architect. That's my comment.
Thank you. Commissioner Herron?
I echo my fellow commissioner. I read the reports in great detail in the previous meeting back in June. Got updated on the past approvals and the lengthy reports that Alice had put together. Thank you for that, and thank you staff for reattaching that. If you're familiar with the scope of work that they've adhered to and gotten approval and support from preservationists and historical, to maintain this home and put it back into a condition that meets those requirements. So I support the staff's recommendation to remove the conditions of approval of 8 and 9. That's all from me.
Thank you. Commissioner HARASZTHY.
I also go along with my commissioners on this. I wish you all the luck in moving forward, and appreciate you coming again with making these changes.
Commissioner Thompson.
I wasn't here for the last meeting, but I did watch the whole thing on video. And I too feel that these conditions are kind of redundant. They've already met all of the conditions, and so these are just another hoop to jump through, I feel like. So I support taking out conditions 8 and 9 as well.
Thank you. I agree with my fellow commissioners, and I don't have a whole lot to add to what they've already said, and I appreciate you all coming back here and taking the time to explain everything again, and I appreciate you working with Alice to make sure that the sensitivity to your rehabilitation is coming to fruition here, and don't have a problem with the categorical exemption. Would a commissioner like to make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the, how much detail do I have to go into? The removal of the conditions of approval numbers 8 and 9 from the previous approved 6/13/23 meeting.
I second the motion.
May we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioner HARASZTHY?
Aye.
Commissioner Herron?
Aye.
Commissioner Jerome? Commissioner Thompson?
Aye.
And Chair AMAR.
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
We'll move on to item 4.2. Discussion, consideration, and possible action to approve a sign permit at 20490 Broadway, including action to approve a categorical exemption pursuant to Section 15301 and 15311 of the State CEQA Guidelines. Premise signs Class 1, existing facilities, Class 11, accessory structures. May we have a staff report?
Okay, we have a presentation for you. Okay, so this is for the sign permit at 20490 Broadway. This is permit ID S-23-4. The project site is at the northeast corner of Broadway and Napa and Leveroni Road. The area in the general plan is Gateway Commercial. It is Gateway Commercial zoning, and it is Gateway District in the planning area. The parcel is approximately 0.9 acres with 200 feet on a side. It has 200-foot frontages. The primary frontage is on Broadway, and the secondary frontage is on Napa Road. The building on the site is an existing commercial building with a flat parapet roof. The building has some stylization in the adobe style with white stucco and clay tile roofing, and a deep portico with square columns. The proposed project is for new wall signage on the west and south frontages, new signage in the existing monument sign structure. Signage is to be located in the same location as previous signage, and no lighting is proposed. The signs are have a white base with Sackers Gothic font. The material will be luster board, which is a plywood with aluminum outer coating and vinyl lettering. For a primary frontage, the Sonoma Municipal Code allows for 86 square feet on a 200-foot frontage. It is proposed on the primary frontage an aggregate of 42.98, which does not exceed the allowed. That is 21.33 square feet for the wall sign and 16 square feet for the monument sign. On the secondary frontage, 21.33 square feet is proposed and 40 square feet maximum aggregate is allowed by the municipal code. The monument sign height will be less than 12 feet in its existing structure, and the monument sign setback will be greater than 10 feet. A maximum of 12 feet high and 6 feet setback from a public right-of-way is allowed by the municipal code. The municipal code allows for nighttime lighting for nighttime operating businesses, but none is proposed. I'm missing some text on this page, but this is two renderings of the signage on the building. As you can see, it will fit within the parapet wall above the portico roof, so it is compatible with the size and scope of the building and the coloration of the white stucco. So the findings that the Commission has to make tonight are that the proposed signage complies with applicable policies and regulations. Staff finds that proposes findings that this sign does comply with applicable sign ordinance and that the three signs would not exceed the allowable aggregate sign area or maximum size for signs. The existing monument sign structure is more than 6 feet from the public right-of-way, and the new sign is conditioned to be installed no higher than 12 feet from the average grade within the existing monument sign structure. The next finding that the Commission must make is that on balance, the proposed signage is consistent with the purpose and intent expressed by Sonoma Municipal Code 18.04.010 and the applicable guidelines for signs set forth by Municipal Code 18.60.010 Appendix A, Design Guidelines for Signs. Staff proposes findings that the signage will aid the business and provide information to the public and will not be a hazard to motorists or pedestrians. The proposed signage is consistent with the purpose and intent expressed by Sonoma Municipal Code 18.60.010 in that the sign is compatible with the existing building and the size is consistent with the building mass. And finally, the proposed signage is harmonious and consistent overall with the location of the site, including adjacent and surrounding development and its environmental features. Staff proposes that the sign is harmonious and consistent overall with the location of the site. And I did want to point out that condition of approval number 2 has been modified to read that the project shall be operating in conformance with the project narrative and approved elevations except as modified by these conditions, including that the monument sign shall be installed so that the top of the sign face is no higher than 12 feet or the maximum height within the monument sign structure, whichever is lower. And B, that the existing lighting fixtures in the monument sign shall be removed, disabled, and otherwise not be in operation until and unless lighting is reviewed and approved by the Design Review and Historic Preservation Commission. This project is exempt from CEQA pursuant to section 15301 and 15311 of the State CEQA guidelines. It is an existing facility and allows for new copy on existing on-sign premises, and section 15311 accessory structures allows for construction or placement of minor structures accessory to an existing commercial facility, including on-premise signs. Staff recommends that the Commission approve the sign permit as proposed, subject to findings and conditions of approval. Staff is available for questions. I am not certain. The applicant is here to answer questions. Yeah.
Thank you. Do we have questions for staff? All right, would you like to come up, Mr. Applicant? Please state your name.
My name is David Allen.
Thank you. Would you like to give us a quick overview of your sign proposal?
Well, we just, the intent was simply to be in kind of the same, no more than was there before when Salsa Trading had the building. And I don't feel the need for a high level of signage, and so that's why we went with something fairly minimal.
Great, thank you. Do we have questions for the applicant? Come on, hang on. Do we have any questions for the applicant? Okay, go ahead and sit down. Thank you. Any public comments? Any online?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
All right, we'll close the meeting to the public. Come back to the commission for discussion. Commissioner Thompson, would you like to begin?
I think it appears pretty straightforward. It's within or less than the requirements as stated, so I have no negative comment to make. All looks good to me.
Thank you. Commissioner HARASZTHY?
I agree. It does fall into all of the maximum levels. It looks great, and I approve how this is going for you. Looks great.
Commissioner Herron?
I echo my fellow commissioners, nothing to add. Feels very straightforward. Thank you.
Commissioner Jerome?
Well, I want to thank staff for a very thorough analysis of this application, and it's very straightforward, and I have no comment.
Thank you. Yes, I don't have any problems with the project as presented. I think it's going to make that whole building pop back into life. It looks very clean and nice, and happy to see that you're getting the signage up there. And it's going to look really sharp, and it's going to probably, hopefully, draw more folks into your business. So, may I have somebody to make a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve agenda item 4.2 to approve a signed permit at 20490 Broadway as proposed, subject to findings and conditions of approval.
I second that.
Thank you. We have the roll call vote, please.
Yes. Commissioner HARASZTHY?
Aye.
Commissioner Herron?
Aye.
Commissioner Jerome? Commissioner Thompson?
Aye.
And Chair Amar?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries unanimously.
We'll now move on from our public hearing to items for discussion. It looks like we have an item for discussion tonight, 5.1, Secretary of the Interior Standards presentation.
So I'll start that by saying I am sorry, but I did not have time to go take pictures all around town yet. So in September, I will do this. So as you know, I sent everybody an email offering up a training on the Secretary of Interior Standards by California Preservation Foundation boot camp. And that first one, I realized there's a lot of big picture things, and I hope that you all got something out of it, those that chose to participate. You can still, there's 2 more. So if you, I can't remember which, I think I signed all 5 of you up, but if you would like to participate too, I can sign you up. I did join back up with California Preservation Foundation membership, so we get all of the webinars free for the rest of the year. So if you see trainings or past trainings that you're interested in, let me know. I can download them and I can share them. With that being said, I am going to send you all an email. I did receive a 2017 presentation overview of the standards, as well as a PowerPoint or a PDF of a PowerPoint, but it's not as easy to have discussion around. So I will give you a presentation on the standards, make it relevant here locally, and we'll do that for you all on the 12th. The next boot camp presentation by CPF is the 24th of August at 10 a.m. and then September 14th at 10 a.m. And so you should have received links to all of those. So if you need me to resend, just send me an email and I'll ask John at CPF to resend it. So just send me a reminder that you need that. And with the standards, I wanted to say that if you have specific questions that come out of any of the one that we just watched or the one that's coming up in August that you want me to cover and make sure that we go through in the September, please send me that. Send me any questions specifically that you want clarification on, or relevance to Sonoma that you want to make sure that I'm paying attention to. I would appreciate that, and so that I can make sure that I'm answering your questions visually as well. So I will leave that there so that we can have a nice early meeting tonight.
I have a question.
Sure.
I watched the presentation, and I was wondering, and thank you for that, by the way, if it's going to go into some more smaller town examples of, the type of work that we do. Those were all LA, big
So I
city.
asked, I did share that with John in case that they hadn't finished the details of the next two. One of them was specific to districts. I can't remember what each one was going to be about.
Yeah.
That's why I was getting ready to look it up. But I did send John at CPF an email just saying, hey, while it was great and seeing like the big picture and some great stuff that's going on, don't forget us little people. And so I'm trying to bring the relevance to a smaller scale. And even though we have National Historic Landmarks here, we're just as important as the Washington, D.C. Mall.
Sure.
But that, you're having a different level of detail. It's technically a national park. So we have a state park, but it's not a national park. So, but yeah, so that's why I just wanted to, I did recommend that they kind of do big picture, but then also the smaller representation. So we'll see how that comes about.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
No problem. And again, sorry, I just was sick yesterday and
Oh.
they just all got away from me. I had big plans.
No worries. Rain check.
Yes. Rain check.
Sounds good. Let's see. Do we have issues and updates?
I don't have any. Do you guys have any?
No. Good answers. All right. Let's see. Any further comments from our commission? Nope. No. Easy then. I will go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 6:34.
Ta-da.
Hard to see that clock.